What's up, everybody? It's Zach from SwitchForce. We're going to watch some old Nintendo Directs and talk about the state of Nintendo Switch 2. It's been real for a couple of weeks now, and we're entering a really big week. I think this week is going to actually send the Switch 2 even lower in terms of people's reactions and commentary, which is kind of a bummer, but I want to prep you for it. So let's dive in. The Switch 2 was announced. It was a bit murky. The real cool people were excited. Some people were like, it's just a Switch 1. They didn't understand the difference. It looked the same. Nintendo took this slow roll route, right? They're like, okay, we're going to show you the system for a couple of minutes and nothing else. We're going to make you wait till April. And we're going to risk there kind of being some bummer moments. And I think there definitely have been. Like, obviously, there's been a lot of positivity. The trailer is crushing it in the view count. It's become one of the most popular video game trailers on YouTube. The Switch 2, like overall is going to do phenomenally. But there's this faction or a couple of factions of people that want to just say like, oh, it looks so boring. It looks so uninnovative. It looks so dumb. And like, what is exciting about it? And this is the risk Nintendo took because they were going to show Mario Kart 9 without calling it out as Mario Kart 9. They were going to show a system that to a keen eye, looks like an elevated Switch, but maybe to an average eye just looks like a Switch, especially if you don't see a side-by-side. You're like, okay, how is it? Is it even different? And then they were going to enter February with a freaking Nintendo Switch 1 Direct and an investors call where they can't really talk about anything. So we've got people complaining right now that the Switch 2, they're going to stop making games for Switch 1. I have to get a Switch 2. Why can't my Switch 1 just play these new games? It's almost as if Switch 1 owners don't understand new consoles. Like, Nintendo has not used a number since, I guess the 3DS has a number, the 2DS has a number, but realistically, they haven't used a number ever, right? Like, they haven't done a number. There's never been a 2. There's the N64, there's the 3DS, there's the DS Lite, but there's never been like a 2. So apparently this is just mind-boggling to people, and they don't understand why their Switch 1 won't be playing Switch 2 games, even though it's been out for 8 freaking years. In some ways, there's nothing we can do to help those people. They're just going to have to figure it out as they go. But I think this week is going to be really weird because if the rumors and the leaks are to be believed, there's going to be a Nintendo Direct around the transfer data maintenance on the night of February 4th and around the investors call in Japan on February 4th. Now, this investors call is probably going to touch on the upcoming Direct. It's going to touch on the Nintendo Switch experience. It's going to touch on the status of the trailer and the, stock of the company. They're definitely not going to be announcing any Switch 2 games at this presentation. And then they go ahead and have a Switch 1 Direct, and I think it's going to make the confused people even more confused. And I think it's going to send the Switch 2 roller coaster down a drop. Obviously, there's no reason to get excited or not excited for the Switch 2 right now because nothing is happening with the Switch 2. But the Switch 1 Direct is going to announce things for the Switch 1, which hopefully boosts the mood of the people that are like bummed that there's a Switch 2, because now they know like, hey, they're going to continue to make games for Switch 1. And I personally think this is going to go on for years, if not forever. I think there will always be some titles that are made for both. I think the indie space, the eShop space, like barring some really, Unreal Engine 5 type indie game, if you're a Metroidvania, why not just come out for Switch 1 and Switch 2? Like, what's going to be the reason to do that? Unless Nintendo signs some special Indie World 2.0 deal with you where they want your game, Hollow Knight Silksong to be exclusive on Switch 2, which it's not, by the way, then, they're going to be on both. So people are going to get Switch 1 games probably for as long as the Switch 2 exists. I think their eShops will, for the most part, have that overlap forever. But they're going to see new games. They're going to see most likely Kirby, Planet Robobot. They might see a new Fire Emblem. They might see something like a Star Fox or an F-Zero. And they're going to be like, why are they even doing a Switch 2? There's nothing for the Switch 2. Which they're right. There is nothing for the Switch 2. And again, this is like Nintendo's plan to slow roll this and to risk, I guess, the Switch 2 not being exciting to the non-hardcore. To me, that initial trailer is mostly for the investors and the hardcore. It's not even really for the third parties. This is sort of what's bizarre about how Nintendo structured this. A lot of us thought that the announcement of the console, the official confirmation and first trailer, was going to be the floodgate opener. Like, hey, let's open up the Nintendo dam, and now everybody can talk about their Switch 2 games. But that's not the case. Nobody is really allowed to talk about their Switch 2 games from any of the major publishers. We didn't get a Switch 2 announcement for Doom the Dark Ages, but it's said to be coming to Switch 2. We didn't get a Switch 2 announcement for Forza Horizon 5, but it's also said to be coming to Switch 2. We're not going to get any sort of Switch 2 announcement, most likely, for Monster Hunter Wilds this coming week, but it probably will end up being on Switch 2. So Nintendo has not really reaped many of the benefits of announcing their console, and they won't until one of two things. They're definitely not going to this week, if there's a Direct, or even if there isn't a Direct. But definitely if there's a Direct, it's only going to sour the Switch 2 space, and you'll probably see more, I'll say, less informed people be like, why would I ever get a Switch 2? Nintendo's going to charge more. I'm happy with my Switch 1. Look, we're getting, I don't know, maybe they will announce a freaking Tears of the Kingdom for Switch 1. We're getting, we're getting a new Kirby, but it's an old Kirby, but it's a new Kirby. I think that your only slice before April that maybe you could build some hype, some legitimate hype, is going to be the Super Bowl. Like, to me, there's no way Nintendo airs that Super Bowl ad without showing more. And I believe we see more of the Switch 2's lineup at the Super Bowl. The commercial that Nintendo inevitably will air, I mean, I can't see them skipping out, especially because it was such a good moment for them with the Switch 1. The commercial they air can't just have 7 seconds of Mario Kart 9 and then a bunch of glamour shots of the system. They're going to have to leverage the games to sell this system and to start building actual hype for the console, because at the end of the day, it is the games that will dictate the most consistent and most predictable wave of hype for this console. It's not that it has, cutting edge graphics, because it won't. And it's not that it's a new form factor or has this like crazy gimmick. I think the mouse gimmick is going to be neat and cool, but again, I think that's going to appeal to the hardcore far more than the average Joe Schro. Like, are they going to be interested in playing games with a mouse? I mean, maybe if they're a PC gamer, but for the most part, I think we're going to have to see the games lineup. And this week, if there is a Switch 1 Direct, which I believe there will be on Wednesday, people are going to be like, huh? What? Why? So Nintendo announced this, I hope, knowing that they were going to face a bit of a downturn. Like, they were going to get a stock boost. They were going to get like a news cycle boost. They were going to get a YouTube view boost, but then like they were going to struggle for a while until they were ready to unveil sort of the rest of the plan. Their plan right now is like, look, we have this new thing. They don't have a date. They don't have a price. And I think to Walmart walk-inner and pick up for Christmas shopper, they don't have a super compelling argument yet. It's the follow-up to the Switch, right? But for some reason, people can't put that together in their head that it means it's going to have all new everything. Like, they need to see it. And understandably so, okay? Right before you fork over $400 or $450, you want to see what this thing can do. And right now, we know that the Joy-Con can like slide on their front, if that even makes sense to you. We know that the screen is a little bit bigger, and we know that the Joy-Con are bigger if you've seen them side by side. The average person doesn't even know that these Joy-Con are going to eliminate the drift. They're like, shoot, the Joy-Con are back? Freaking hated having to replace those things for my kids. Nintendo has put themselves in a position where the Switch 2, on the surface, is boring. Because most people aren't listening to Nate the Hate Rumors. They're not following Ecstasis leaks. They don't know that there's going to be this onslaught of incredible games from, Halo Master Chief Collection to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth to Metal Gear Solid Delta to a new 3D Mario. Like, they don't know. And they're not going to know for a bit. So I think as we track the state of the Switch 2, it's got a bit before it's going to go up. And I'll be curious to see. I know they're going to say, like, no mention of Switch 2. But like, if they make Metroid Prime 4 Beyond a focal point here, do they make any nod to the fact that this game will be playable and or better on the Switch 2? Is that an opportunity for them to sort of nod to the future or not? If they don't talk about the Switch 2 version of Metroid Prime, or they don't talk about upgrades on the Switch 2, or they don't even make a hint that, there's more on the Switch 2, I think people are going to be like, what? Nintendo's only big game that isn't announced isn't even coming to the Switch 2. They're going to be like, dude, I can play Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, Nintendo's like most realistic looking game ever, Nintendo's like best looking game ever, their most, like long awaited Switch 1 game. I can just play on the Switch 1. And then don't even get me started on when the Pokemon Presents drops later in February, and people see that Pokemon Legends ZA is also going to be on Switch 1. It's a very interesting and I think kind of difficult river to navigate. Nintendo is paddling along with the path that they chose. They picked this. It's not like they were forced into this. They chose this because it worked so well with the Switch 1. But the differentiating factor is with the Switch 1, you were introducing this hybrid nature of a portable and home console mix that nobody had seen. So that on itself, surface was just so interesting. Like that by itself was great. They don't have it here, and obviously the trailer that they revealed the Switch 2 with is a far more boring trailer than the Switch 1. Like the Switch 1 reveal on the rooftops is like, wow, people look like they're having so much fun. They're really getting into it. There's a freaking new Mario game. It looked great, and the idea and the concept was so novel and so new. They don't have that with the Switch 2 trailer. It's just a different Switch, and Nintendo has had 2 different Switches, so I get it. Like, if you're not really paying attention, you see this and say, what, why? They've already done 2 of these. This is just another one of those. That might be Mario Kart 8. Maybe they're doing another Course Booster Pass. They already have done a Course Booster Pass, so maybe it's just new tracks. Maybe I just haven't seen that track before. Are they zooming in and going frame by frame and seeing that Donkey Kong's eyebrows are gone? Like, are they zooming in and seeing that Baby Rosalina is driving a snowmobile? Are they zooming in and seeing Mario's fuel? They're not. This week, I hope we get great Switch 1 games. I hope that they do make some nod to Switch 2, but I'm not anticipating it. I'm not anticipating it at all. I'm expecting Nintendo to say absolutely nothing and to drive home the point that the Switch 1 is still valuable, still valid, and still is getting games this year. In which case, the case for the Switch 2 becomes even weirder. But we'll check back in next week and see what the internet discourse is. It's weird, huh? It's weird that Nintendo has announced their new system and that there is some sections of people, there's some avenues of the internet where it's like, what the heck is the point of this? And then there's me over here like, dude, you don't even know. This is going to be the Switch on steroids. This is going to be an even crazier, better 6, 7, 8 years. This is going to be so exciting, and new consoles are always absolutely the best part of the video game industry, and it can be a mouse, and it's bigger, and it's Hall effects, they're not going to drift, and the screen is going to be sweet, and it's going to have a better OS, hopefully, and it's going to have themes, hopefully, and it's got this button that may or may not still be a C button, and maybe they just blurred it out in the trailer, or maybe they didn't, and it's just going to be a generic button either way. For someone like you and I, the Switch 2 is insanely exciting. But Nintendo is taking this risk that on just like a face value, like, hey, what do you think of the Switch 2? It's like, huh? Kind of blah. And I think it's going to get worse this week. So let me know what you think in the comments down below, everybody. Hope you're all doing fantastic, enjoying your weekend. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy, stay positive out there. And until next time, love you lots. SwitchForce out.